My name is Michael and welcome to another video. I'm here to help you move into the 5D. So this video will be a little bit different. I love this topic and I actually channeled this through a dream this morning. The video is all gonna be about spirits and dead people and how they communicate to you. Literally how they talk to you, how you can recognize it, and if this is happening in your life. So in 2012, my father passed away. I also wrote about it in my book. What started to happen after he passed away, kind of like immediately, that I never really experienced before, was that like the microwave started to go on and off, and it sounded like a truck that's being in reverse, like me, me. Like the TV went on and off, the fire alarm went on and off, and things that was really strange that never really happened before, and I was super confused because in this moment I was sad, I was angry, I was confused. So if all of these like things are happening, I remember there was a mirror that was always like it always moved when I was not there. All the stuff was actually happening when I was not with someone. So many times all of these things could happen to me, but in the moment there was no one else there. So when I explained this to other people, they would not believe me or literally say that I was crazy. I thought at some point that I was like, I'm going crazy because maybe it's my father's passing that made me going cuckoo. And then in this period of time, I had this woman that always greeted me when I was like walking in the middle of the streets in town. There was this woman that kind of like, hey, hey. And I was like, who is this? Who is this woman? And it kept on going. I saw her at the grocery store and she's like, hey, hey. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, it's really strange that this woman is always like saying, hey, hey to me. And I remember one last time when it happened where this woman basically were at a nightclub and she's maybe around 50, and at that time I was 25. So it was like this nightclub was like for 18 to 30 like ish people. And then this older woman, I found her there. I was out at that point. I was smoking and I was drinking. I was a little bit drunk, and I come into this bar and she stands there like looking at me and say, hey, hey. And I was like, this is really strange. Like, where is the hidden camera? Who is this woman? What does she want from me? And I walk up to her and I ask her, like, what do you want from me? Like, I was really straight on. And she's like, I'm a medium and your father wants to talk to me. And I was like, excuse me, what? Yeah, your father wants to have a conversation with you. I was like, yeah, but my father is dead. Why do you say that? And it made me angry and like upset. And she's like, yeah, but I think we should put up a time and I think we should see each other. And I was like, wow, this is really strange. Like, first, all of the stuff, the microwaves and all the TVs and all of that weird, like, electronic stuff. And now this happens. So, but at the same time, I was very curious. This woman comes to my place at a Sunday. I remember this. And she walks in and she says, I have my father, or your father, with you, and he really wants to talk to you. And I remember I had the cry in my throat, and I was like, I could barely held it in. And she came in, and we sat for around 3 hours. And the thing that really, really struck me was that the main message that my father, through her, wanted to say was that he was sorry for everything that he did when he was alive, and he wanted to live my life fully. Like, he wanted to make sure that I was going on my own path where I just did everything that I wanted. And why am I telling this story? Well, there's a good thing with this story. I'm going to tell every single step after that I've been taking, because that set me free in ways that I could not even comprehend myself at the time. So yes, spirits and dead people can communicate through you or to you, and they are going to if they need to leave you a message. The more you kind of like resist in accepting that is true, the more messages and weird things that you will get. There is a spirit or a dead person that wants to be heard on the other side, and the more you reject it, the more you will kind of like interact with all of this stuff until you come to a point where you listen. That was the whole thing with my father's all of these things, because at the moment I listened to her at our place, and I accepted the message that came through, all of it stopped. It never came back. And I remember that I wasn't open, like I didn't want to see, because I was so hurt inside of me and I was resentful. I remember my father as he was in this life, and I was angry at him and I was like upset about him. So maybe in your life there can be the same kind of thing where you're like, you know what, I don't want to see, I don't want to, like, I've that person hurt me, that person did this person did this. But I tell you, like, if you have these things going on in your life and keeps on going, there is a message for you that will take you, like it took me from zero to fucking hero in a very short time. There is something to for you to elevate in this lifetime. So spirits speak either through you or through other people or through animals or through things that happens on the outside. So it can come through many forms, and sometimes nature even can speak to you in a way where you kind of like get messages from nature. But this was very clear that he spoke through her. She was the clearest channel to tell me what I needed to hear. Often they come to the person that has the clearest and best way to communicate what needs to be communicated. And that could be through random people out there that you never met, for example. Or it can be someone that has a work as a medium where they actually channel that people, for example. That could also work. But sometimes it just shows up through this. This woman didn't want any money from me. She didn't want to, like, nothing. She just want to give the message. And many times my mind was like, oh, she wants money. Who is she? Like, what does she want from me? There was a lot of these kind of like ghosts in my own mind where I was like, maybe she's using me or whatever. When you accept and understand that might be more to life than you can actually see with your eyes, that's the moment where the most gifts are unveiled, like they are shown to you. When you can see without seeing, the messages and the path and the guidance that you will get from nature and other people through communicating with spirit and sometimes dead people, that will be a gift that can happen in your life that you never regret that you started to walk that path and open up. It's like, for me, it was inevitable. I can't understand how I could live my life in another way. Like, I would either, as I see it, I would either live in some sort of suppression, reaction, denial, or I could just open up to the next world and I can just go into that space where I can get all of these messages so I could move on. Because what also happened when we spoke, when she came to my place, was that I also forgave. In that moment, I forgave and I let go all of the negative traits that my father used to have. And all of a sudden, I was free from that thinking. All of a sudden, these thoughts of what he did wrong or didn't do or whatever, all of that completely vanished. And the only message that I took in was for me to live my life to the fullest, which means that I go out and I do the things that I really want and that it's good for me in this moment. So these days, you can use and as guidance what she said to me in this moment, and this is like 2013. She said, your father wants you to sit down and ask for guidance when you need guidance. And I remember this very clearly. I was like, I didn't really believe it, and I was like, no, and I was still like, what? This is stupid. Like, what do you mean? I should sit and talk to myself. But I remember I sat in the so let's say I sat like this in the bed, And this was the day after this has all happened. And I was still, I was still curious. I was still curious because what if she was right? What if she's like, what if you could talk to that dead family member or that spirit that's been visiting you? What if that person or that spirit could help you? That made me really excited. So I sat down and I asked. And this point, I remember first of all, I was broke. I didn't have a job and I didn't have a business. It was all before everything basically unfolded. And this was the starting point of my whole journey. So I sat down and I had a job offer coming in from Volvo. I'm from Sweden. So I lived near a Volvo factory. And I was like, I got an offer to work at Volvo. Or I was thinking about opening my own business. And I was really not sure because there was so much opening my business. There was so much resentment and like people like, no, you can't open a business. Who are you to open a business? Also, I was going to work with iPhones, which is this time was like iPhone 3GS and iPhone 4. And most people really believe that no one can open an iPhone. If you know how an iPhone looks, it's like, if you turn it around, there's like, where do I open the phone? Like, how do I open it? And at this time, there was like, no one really believed that it was possible, but I have found and cracked their system and understood how they were built. I can see it. I already knew it. So I sat there and I had these two options. And I said, am I going to open my own company or am I going to start a work at Volvo? And I sat there like this and I was like, oh, am I going to do this or am I going to do this? And I felt really stupid, to be honest. I felt super stupid and I was like, this is fucking strange. Like, now this woman, and now I sit here and ask, like, what am I doing? Like, Michael, you're fucking nuts. And I kid you not. Listen to this. The day after. And as I said, I've been into working with phones already without me having a company. I just did it on my side. I get a phone call. Hey, you called me. It's Michael. And the voice says, yes, I heard you're working and you can fix an iPhone. And I was like, yes, correct. Well, I want you to come to my place and I want you to fix my iPhone. But something inside of me told me that I was supposed to go and do it. So I take my car and I remember it very clearly. And this is the day after I sat and asked for guidance. I go and knock the door. He opens up. Really nice guy. He lets me in. I fix his phone. He pays me. And as soon as he paid me, he says, Michael, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, what are you doing here? And I was like, yeah, well, I don't have a job. I try to make a living. Like, I try to make a little bit of money. And he's like, you have a business. And I was like, what do you mean? I never really thought about it in that way. And then I explained what I did. And he said, you know what? I'm going to help you start your company. And he said, I'm going to help you start up your company. And you're going to go on this amazing journey. And I was like, what? Is this happening? This is the day after. He became my mentor for the next 6 months without taking any payment. And he just helped me start up my company. And from that on, the company flew like never before. And I went on a journey that just... I can't even speak. It's like the wildest of the wildest. I was so fulfilled and happy, accepting, understanding that there is spirits. Dead people can talk to you and other types of spirits. And when we kind of like tune into their guidance and what the message is that they want to bring forth, when we lean into it, man, you're going to go on a journey that you've never been before. So if all of this stuff is maybe happening around you, you could sit with it. You can, if you just want to listen. This is more of like a video of like you accepting that there is, and then your journey, your specific journey will be different to mine. And when you allow it to happen, all of a sudden you will get the message. I can't tell you what the message is right now, but there will be. You're watching this video for a reason, and if you are watching this, you probably have something that goes on in your life that you're like, I can't seem to figure it out. Surrender to it and be open to people, be open to everything is speaking to you. People, like not just verbally, but like life is speaking to you where you get signs. Nature gives you signs, animals gives you signs, kids gives you signs, humans gives you signs, the situation itself gives you signs. If you're in a situation where the same thing keeps repeating in your life and you're like, this is real, like why am I keep experiencing the same thing? It's like you're watching a movie and you keep watching the same thing over and over. I tell you, there is something for you to learn from that experience, and you will either have to look at the same video being playing in front of your eyes, which is your reality, or you learn from the situation and you move on. Is that making sense? So life will always give you the same until you get the lesson. Just like me here. Okay, I got the lesson, I forgave, I moved on, I accepted, I listened, and I took action. All of a sudden, life just like, ta-ta! If you like this kind of video, comment, follow, and subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot so I can keep doing this. And I'll see you in the next video.